Well, I have lived with this phone for a whole month now, so I suppose it's time for a proper review. Hey, how's it going? I'm Josh from 91 Tech, and the iPhone 11 Pro Max is a mouthful, but also probably possibly the best smartphone on the market right now. So the question is, of course, is the iPhone 11 Pro worth buying? Yes, the iPhone 11 Pro is worth buying. I'm eating my own words here a little bit because I've said before the opposite, but after using it for a month, it really is worth buying. This is almost solely thanks to the new camera system, and that, in conjunction with the wide array of improvements like better battery life, results in perhaps the most complete smartphone out there. But let's back up here. Is the iPhone 11 Pro actually worth $1,000? Yes, it is. It's expensive, but considering what kind of phones cost around the same amount of money, I think the 11 Pro is definitely worth it. That doesn't mean that you should buy it, but I do think it's worth the money, which, again, I'm kind of surprised about, but here we are. The only reason I don't go yelling on street corners that you should go buy the iPhone 11 Pro is because the iPhone 11 exists. The iPhone 11 is an absolutely amazing deal at $699. You get basically everything good about the 11 Pro for significantly less, minus the OLED display. It has the same chipset, same amount of storage. In fact, you can actually double the storage to 128 gigabytes for only $50 more with the 11, and you can't do that with the 11 Pro. The 11 doesn't come with a fast charger, but I don't think $300 is worth spending just for that. The iPhone 11 starts at $699. That's absurdly good, and if the iPhone 11 isn't the best-selling smartphone of this coming year, I would be shocked, especially considering that the XR was $750 and was still the best-selling smartphone. The iPhone 11 Pro has an OLED display. That's really what sets it apart from the iPhone 11. Is that display amazing? Yeah, it really is. It is one of the best on the market. Will most people notice the difference between OLED and LCD? Probably not. Maybe side by side, but in most cases, people buying an iPhone 11 or XR won't even know that their screen's quality is worse than some of the better phones. The iPhone 11 screen is good enough for most people, but this one is quite a bit better. So for the average person, yes, the 11 Pro is worth it. But the 11 is more worth it, and so for most people, that's the one I'd recommend. In a moment here, I'll review the phone, but first I want to cover a comment I got on one of my videos a while ago. They asked me, why am I making such a big deal between the difference of an iPhone 11 and 11 Pro when it's only $300? Well, here's the thing, $300 makes up over 40% of the price of the iPhone 11. That's a significant increase, especially if you're feeling like saving some pennies. Obviously, if saving $300 doesn't seem like a big deal to you, the 11 Pro is the phone you should buy, and this phone is worth the money, but the 11 is just a little bit more worth it. So, wanted to cover that. For most people, I think those savings are a big deal. Obviously, most people are going to buy on contract anyways, but there is going to be savings carried over there as well. But regardless, now let's talk about the iPhone 11 Pro and why it is actually worth the $1,000 price tag. Let's start with the initially controversial design. The naysayers have quieted down since the phone was launched for a couple reasons. First, just general interest isn't as high as it was in September, so of course people are going to be less vocal. But second, and most importantly, once people got their hands on these phones, they realized that they actually looked pretty good. As is tradition, the leaks and concepts didn't do the actual phone justice, and while the three cameras might have looked goofy at first, a lot of people have come around, including me. Personally, I like it. The square camera bump may not be the best design element Apple's ever done, but I think it's fine, and I especially like the matte glass finish. It feels super good in the hand and makes you feel like you're using a more premium iPhone, especially since the iPhone 11 is still glossy on the back. The centered Apple logo fits so well, I almost forgot to mention it in this video. I was skeptical at first, but once I got the phone, it felt natural right off the bat. The midnight green is gorgeous, and I'm pretty happy I got it over the space gray. I'm surprised I love a green phone so much. I really never saw that coming, but if anybody was going to do it right, it was going to be Apple, and they did. And of course, if you hate the look of the iPhone 11 Pro, chances are you're going to be using a case anyway. I've been mainly using this thin Meg case from Pitaka, something like that. It's cool because it's magnetic while still being wireless charging compatible, which means that combined with their car wireless charger, you can use your maps while keeping your phone nice and juiced up for you. This isn't sponsored, by the way. They sent this to me for free and said, hey, if you like it, maybe mention it in a video, so here I am. I do like it. There will be a link in the description. I believe they're giving you guys 10% off. Again, not sponsored, no kickbacks, but worth mentioning. The front of the iPhone 11 Pro might seem boring by some people's standards, and I suppose that's fair given that we've seen the same general design with the notch since 2017. But I've always liked it. The notch feels like it blends into the software experience, and while I'm sure it'd be better if there was a smaller one or none at all, I honestly don't mind it, and neither do pretty much everybody who uses this phone regularly. The display this year has gotten better. I'd be lying if I said I noticed much difference between it and my 10s, but it looks great all the same. Speakers are better than ever. The surround sound features actually work really well. I actually wasn't expecting them to work as well as they do. They're really impressive. But at the same time, how often do you watch a movie on your smartphone without headphones? If that's something you do regularly, or even once in a while, you'll definitely appreciate the speakers, but for most people it's probably more of a non-factor. Battery life is insanely good, as in insanely crazy good. I'm someone who uses my phone a lot, and I typically finish the day with around or even over 50% on my iPhone 11 Pro Max. The smaller 11 Pro won't be quite as good, but from what I've heard, it's really not much worse. This is a huge upgrade over the 10 and 10s. In fact, I'd go as far as saying the battery made the upgrade worth it for me. And then the cameras kind of just put things over the edge. Let's start with the selfie camera because it actually received a pretty significant upgrade this year. It's now 12 megapixels as opposed to 7, and what's really cool is that it's quite a bit wider too, which means that you can capture more people in the frame. And this is all done without adding a second camera lens like the Pixel 3 did last year. How it works is you can choose a wider or more cropped in version. The cropped in version is by default when you're holding the phone vertically and gives you a similar 7 megapixel photo like we've seen in the past, while zooming it out, which happens when you turn it horizontally, or you can do it yourself by hitting that button, gives you the full 12 megapixels. But it is quite a bit wider, so it's not always the best for the situation. Video is also much better on the selfie camera, being 4K at 30 frames per second. You can see it here, and funnily enough, I think this looks better than most other smartphones' regular video. Overall, Apple knocked the selfie camera out of the park this year, and it's about darn time. Portrait selfies still aren't perfect. It really struggles with glasses and stuff, but they've definitely gotten better, and I mean, this here doesn't look horrible by any means, so definitely good enough to get the job done, especially if you don't have glasses. And then there's the back cameras. Oh man, are they good. If they're not the best on the market right now, they are not far from it. We of course have the triple camera system, the main wide lens, the telephoto lens, and the ultra wide lens. The ultra wide lens is the fancy new addition this year, and in my opinion is way more useful than the telephoto lens. You can always zoom in digitally, but zooming out has never been an option until now. You have so much range with this phone. Here's the ultra wide versus the wide and the telephoto. I'll put some more examples like this on the screen as I talk. Photos always look good with this phone. I legitimately haven't taken a bad picture, and I don't think I ever will again. If there was ever a time to upgrade your iPhone solely for a camera, this is it. Generally speaking, you do want to use the main lens as it'll take the best photo, but you have options now, which is really great, and I really appreciate the ultra wide lens too. But yeah, photos, especially with that main lens, they look so good. If this phone isn't the best at the camera, it's pretty darn close. And night mode is really good. It does as advertised, and it does it really darn well. Definitely a super important addition, and one I'm very happy we have now. Video, as is tradition, is by and far the best from any smartphone. It's crazy to me how no Android phone seems to be able to do video right. The Pixel 4 in particular is super disappointing. It can't even do 4K at 60 frames per second yet. This phone can film up to 4K at 60 frames per second, which we've seen before, but as you would expect, it looks even better this year, as you can see here. This is 4K 30, but it is so crispy. If you're someone who wants good video, iPhone is not only your best choice, but it's really your only choice, considering the kind of lack of competition. And what's really nice is that you can switch between those lenses during video, and while there is definitely some color shifting when that happens, it isn't too bad. The camera is probably the reason you buy this phone. Photos look consistently amazing, HDR is better than ever, portrait mode has gotten more consistent again on the selfie camera as well as the back camera. One addition I really appreciate is that you can take portrait photos either with the regular wide lens or the telephoto wide lens, something you could not do with the 10s. The coloring seems different. I'm just glad there's more choice mostly. There's also a new white background in the portrait lighting setting, so yeah, overall, portrait photos in general look great with this phone. It's gotten so good. Coming into this, I didn't expect to like this phone as much as I do. Upgrading to the 10s last year from the iPhone 10 felt a little bit lackluster. It felt like the same phone, and while it did pretty good for me and took good photos and blah blah blah, it worked. The 11 Pro feels like a real legitimate upgrade, and the newer hardware is combined with the great software that is iOS 13. I'll admit it was a bit rough the first week, but once iOS 13.1 came out, most bugs were fixed. Dark mode really, at least to me, helps iOS feel fresh, and the move from the XS to the 11 Pro has been made even more apparent to me with the differences in software. It also helps that I got the Max instead of the smaller iPhone 11 Pro, which I thought about getting, but I decided to get the Max this time around. I really like the bigger size, which I wasn't sure about, but I do. It feels better in the hand to me, it works better for me, so obviously it's completely up to you which one you get. But anyways, the 11 Pro and 11 Pro Max are the complete package. There are just very few problems. And now that the cameras and batteries are top tier, you'd have a tough time making a case for any other smartphone over the iPhone 11 Pro, except for maybe the iPhone 11. Now this review has been mainly positive, and that's because there's really not a whole lot I don't like. But if I had to come up with something, there's two things. No 3D touch. I really miss 3D touch. That would have been really nice here. I know it's for a bigger battery, so I suppose it's a worthy sacrifice, but I still really miss it. Also, how is it that a $1,000 phone still only has 64 gigabytes as the starting model? That's ridiculous. I wish Apple had upped it to 128 at the minimum, but nope, it's 64, and I do have the 64 gigabyte version. Luckily, iCloud is really cheap, so I have like 50 gigs of iCloud storage for like $2, so I'm actually okay, but still, it is pretty ridiculous this phone only has 64 gigabytes. Besides that though, I love this phone. So should you buy the iPhone 11 Pro? If you have $1,000 burning in your pocket, I mean, why not? Or maybe you find a decent deal on contract, and overall, I would say that it is worth buying. I don't think it's worth it for most people over the basic iPhone 11, but if you want OLED, I mean, this is the best iPhone you can get. A lot of people have said to wait till next year, because that's going to be the big upgrade. The magical 2020 iPhone we've been hearing about for so long that's going to have a smaller notch and USB-C and all these things. We don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. A lot of people said the same thing last year. Will the next iPhone be a big upgrade? Hopefully. I should hope it will be, because we need one. This phone is a pretty big upgrade over the XS, but it is still really similar to the basic iPhone X design, and I think we need something different. But, this phone is worth upgrading to right now. Yeah, you could wait till next year, or just pick up this phone and enjoy it now because it's awesome. I didn't expect this to be my conclusion, but in my honest opinion, Apple has hit it out of the park this time around. The iPhone 11 Pro is absolutely worth buying. You just need to determine if you really want this over saving $300 and getting the iPhone 11. If you're in the market for a new phone, I'd be lying if I said this phone was cheap. It's not. It is very expensive, and so is the iPhone 11. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what's in store for iPhones next. Hopefully Apple can continue this trend and make something even better next year. And with that, I think I'm pretty much done here. Most people aren't going to buy this phone, but if you do, I have no doubt in my mind you aren't going to regret it. And if you get the iPhone 11, you're going to really like that phone too. They're both really good. Apple's done a great job this year. I'm really happy about that. Last year, I was disappointed. This year, not so much. Do you have the iPhone 11 or 11 Pro? Are you thinking about getting one? Let me know in the comments down below. If you found this video interesting or helpful, maybe hit that like button and consider subscribing for more content just like this. You can follow me over on Twitter and Instagram if you want to for some reason, at 91_tech. Actually, I do have a reason. This. What does that look like? Yeah, it's a Windows phone. Video coming eventually. I don't know when, but if you were following me on social media, you would have known that I picked this up. So, hey, Instagram, Twitter. Yeah, that all being said, thank you so much for watching. I'm Josh from 91 Tech, and I will see you all next time.